A very good evening, ma'am, and I welcome all viewers of this Facebook Live. This is PP Shreyas here, the co-founder of Project Bodhan and today's moderator. Today, we all have gathered on this beautiful evening for a one-hour talk session by Mrs. Vidya Shankar ma'am, the founder and chairperson of Relief Foundation and a child rights practitioner, on the topic Developmental Learning in Childhood. Today's event is an initiative by Project Bodhan and Elixir Foundation in partnership with Council for Transforming India and Relief Foundation. To throw some light of Mrs. Vidyashankar ma'am, she has completed her education in BTech Diploma, PG Diploma, Child Rights Law from the National Law School in Bangalore and AMI Elementary Montessori Diploma. Her organization Relief Foundation was set up to find rehabilitation solutions for children in distress and in institutional care. Since September 1998, Relief Foundation has done intense work with children in need of care and support, especially in the juvenile and observation homes in Chennai. Now, all efforts are engaged in strengthening rural pre primary and primary education for children as a mode of prevention of delinquency and dropouts. Ma'am is a secretary of the Adaptive Family Association of Tamil Nadu and an active member of Sudatta in Karnataka. A family counselor by learning and experience with a passion to strengthen the society from within the family units, assisting children, youth, and parents on the nuances of building and nurturing relationships. She is a former trustee and honorable CEO of Shriram Foundation and was the chairperson of the Juvenile Welfare Board, Chennai District. She has also many significant contributions in making rules, designing programs, conducting workshops, and much more. She has authored quite a few books and written several articles. Last but not the least, she holds much more important portfolios and responsibilities in committees for complaints on sexual harassment in workplaces. It is my privilege to have such a esteemed person with us today. Now I request ma'am to take over the session today. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shreyas and Bodhan Foundation for having me today evening. I'm delighted to be here because it's always a pleasure to speak to youth and young people because that's the final stage before you launch yourself into adulthood, into an independent life. It's good to know a lot about what life can offer you when you have the right approach. So, the first thing which we need to know is about children because that's my area, and it is good to know that children need a new perspective altogether. See, for several years now, we have been thinking that young children start their schooling and then get educated. But that myth has been busted, and for the last 100 to 125 years, we have now very strong evidence which has been scriptured in our ancient wisdom that children come with a lot of uh, innate potential and a lot of learning which is which needs to be unraveled by the adults who look after them. So the first approach is that we need to respect a child even as a fetus. So, in fact, when we talk of developmental learning in childhood, we have even in our epics, we have instances where the child in the womb learns. We are unable to think of such a possibility and just keep it as a myth. But it is not so. It has been proved time and again with a lot of research that the way the mother connects to the child in the womb, the way the child is communicated to, has a lot of bearing. And the child is not an empty slate or an empty cup, as people might think when he comes into this world. So it is good for us to know what takes this learning curve for this child in a trajectory that will help the child launch him or herself into this world as a successful adult. So the point is not about the child as much as about the adults who are looking after this child. So my attempt is to give in lot of information on what I myself have gathered over time with my own research and meeting over thousands of children during my work with, as Shreyas has said, the juvenile homes and what went wrong with their lives. What was the main reason that they fell through the cracks? So, what could have been done to prevent these things? So, these were the most important questions I had in my mind when I was working with these children. And I decided that there's no point in continuing to work with children who are continually falling through cracks. So, in about 7 to 8 years' time of intense work with them, I started recovering the reasons that was affecting these factors. So that's when we started working with the area of child education, and we went around a lot of places in South India, and we had a chance to meet a number of families in villages and a number of children, schools, teachers, and we found that there were a lot of underpinning factors that affect children. So the first, in this talk today, I would like to uh, give a brief outline on what it takes for a child to have an ideal, or if not a near ideal, developmental learning environment. So I would like to share the screen. So I will start from birth. So from birth, what it takes. Of course, before birth itself, as I said, there is a lot that is to be done. But that story for another day, because we are just putting together, we are piecing together a lot of ancient wisdom and learning. My colleagues are doing the infancy course, that is the 0 to 3 Montessori course, which is now being offered in India. So we are just piecing it together. So I will share what I have learned over the last 10 to 12 years of my working in the Montessori way of education, and I will share what made complete sense to me. So um, can someone say whether the screen is visible? Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. So
Yes,
yes.
yes, it is
Okay. Thank
visible.
you.
Yes.
So let's look at what is happening in the life of a child 0 to 5 years of age. Who are these people who are there in the life of the child? The primary caregiver, the one who has given birth to this child, for the newborn child. But what are the needs of this child? Essentially, a lot of bonding with the primary caregiver that will reassure trust and faith uh, in the environment, that it suits the development and growth. So the first is for the child to feel a sense of bonding and attachment, which is what is needed for this newborn child. So the environment must be conducive for the mother and the child to bond for several hours. And there must be peace and calm for the mother. There must be an environment of encouragement to breastfeed the child, and all the adults around must give her the time and the space to have a rested life with this child, so that the child is bonding extremely well. So even from the first sounds, the child would like to relate to the mother's sound, and we definitely have seen how the father's sounds also matter. So towards the end of pregnancy, the children, even from the 7th to 8th month, there's a lot of interaction that you can have with your in utero baby. So for the father to talk to the child, for the mother to talk to the child, to sing to the child. See, these are the reference points for the baby to be able to feel at home when he or she comes out with a huge effort. See, always the effort is towards the mother and not so much for the child. It's always how much pain the mother undergoes rather than how much pain the child undergoes to make this, journey, a big journey from inside a cocoon, a very well protected environment, but a matter of will that the child is making a big effort to come out, and by his or her own effort, she is pushing herself through into this world and wants to be with the adults. So the adults need to respect the beautiful journey of this child from the stage of an embryo into a full grown uh, infant, baby, willing to come out into this world and be a part of the adult world. So the whole process is beautiful, and it is important for us to educate ourselves on what the children inside the womb, what a child inside the womb actually learns. It is so much to do with the uh, presence of the mother and the caregiving adults all around. So it's very, very important for every parent who is going to become a mother or a father, every couple, to know a lot more on what it takes for conscious conception to a well informed choice based delivery. Now, from birth to 5 months, again, the needs of the child are that the child has come out and is looking around the world, is looking around to see how much familiarity is there. So, there is definitely the role of the primary caregiver in making the uh, child feel the same amount of comfort as the child has been inside the womb. Though, there are several myths and several misgivings that happen inside this, whole wisdom of childcare. So it is important for us to educate ourselves a lot more on this. Then, if you see, the needs of the child is again to do with communication. So we're not so much. We don't think that a child who is just born needs to be spoken to, but this child is rapidly absorbing everything around her. So pouring your love and affection and communicating with the child and having a very warm and suitable environment is what is important. So a number of mobiles, that is the hanging pieces of interesting mobiles will be good for the child to watch when the child is awake. The child will attempt movement. So, to encourage the movement, it is important to have, because the child learns through movement. The child learns to grasp, the child learns to feel and touch, the child learns the smell and the sight and the sounds around her, the smell of the mother, the caress of the father, the expressions. The child is already watching a lot, looking intently on the face by the time the child is breastfeeding. So it's very important to engage with the child on eye contact and speak to the child as the child is feeding. So I have always said it's very important for the mothers not to take the mobile phone and keep talking while the child is feeding. It is so disconnected. The child will not have an interest to engage in feeding if there is no affection. The feeding is the filling the stomach is only one part of the story. The point is connection. So it is very important, and I will explain what the attachment cycle is all about. So the child has a need and the child cries. The need is met by the caregiver and a trust develops. So this is the attachment cycle, which is the one that strengthens the bond between the caregivers and the baby. This is very important. If the child is not attended to and thinks, and the mother doesn't read the body language or the cues from the child will feel a sense of distrust and will not be able to form that loop. It is important for the child to loop several layers of this attachment. Then we have, as the child is calm and content, the child nothing matters. The child is left as is. But when the child experiences a need or a discomfort, there is an expression of arousal or displeasure the child is showing even after 5 6 months. This is slightly beyond infancy. The parent recognizes the child's needs and responds appropriately. The child experiences a sense of relief and relaxation. Why? Because he is being attended to, he's being cared for. So if there is a break in the attachment, there is always a tendency for the child to intensify the cry, intensify the exhibition of discomfort, to see if that can be. So that is human nature. So when the child is not attended to at the first instance, now there are several questions in parenting, I know, that will come up, but I'll deal with that later. But it is very important for us to close the attachment loop each time, so that there is a trust that is getting built. Now, between 6 and 12 months, the children are absorbing rapidly from the environment, and we have something called the sensitive periods, which I will be explaining. The child's mind is like a sponge, it's taking in everything without screening. If there is a noise, that noise becomes normal. If there is a good smell, that good smell is absorbed. If there is a fight in the environment between two people, that is absorbed. So these are some things that the children are absorbing without any conscious effort. It just goes and imprints itself permanently into the mind of the child. So about the sensitive periods, it's certain times of the child's life. Those are periods where there is spiked interest towards certain learning needs. I will explain to you as we go on. So the next is on the needs of the child. Again, it still goes on to communication, movement, which are important learning parameters for this child. So unless the communication is ongoing and very down to earth and not just cuddly, baby noises, just repeating after the child, a good clear language can be started right from birth. There is no need for using the, what do you call, the baby talk. There is no need to do baby talk. Of course, it's nice, it's very cuddly, it's very it feels very reassuring to do a lot of baby talk, repeating the baby talk of the child, but we are not helping the child by doing so. The production of language really depends on imitation, so it is very important that the child, there is a role modeling of language in the environment. So there is movement, and then there is love and connection, which the child is looking up to all the time. So the parent's role is very pronounced, even throughout, and more so now because the child is actually looking at you and not spending many hours in sleep. The waking hours are very high. So it is important on what to do with these children at this age. So it's important to educate yourself on how do you engage with a child who is 6 months, 7 months, what to expect of these children at different ages, rather than just looking at the internet and seeing, okay, what should my child have done by now? Why isn't he doing it? Should I go to a doctor? Is there a delay? So there is no need to worry about that. It is important for you to learn how to provide an environment of how these things can be accomplished. So from birth itself, the child will start the autodidact, self-directed learning. That is very important. From 12 months to 2 years, the sensitive periods are very different from the baby below 12 months. I will explain that a little later. Again, the absorbent mind continues. The child is experiencing inordinate amount of information that is coming into the child's mind in terms of all senses. The child is a sensorial learner at this stage. So it's very important for us to know how we are providing for this child. All adults around the child must learn how to provide adequately the needs of these children. And now it is at the 2 years, many parents will say, oh, it is a terrible twos, and then the period of saying no. So this is very interesting because the child would have just learned the word no. And it is great fun to use it in the environment and see how the adults are responding. So, discipline is possible in a very appropriate way, even to show the boundaries for this child, because the child is again absorbing these boundaries, and these boundaries need to be for the safety and the security of the child, which is very clearly job of the parents to educate themselves on how do you give this. Now, 2 to 3 years, again, the same sensitivity continues, the absorbent mind continues, and then here you will have the stage of emotional and social development, which adds on as a parameter. The children are actually looking at other children, they're looking at sharing things, they're looking at how they can relate to their larger circle of families, they're watching a lot more of adult interactions. So, this is very important on how the language development takes a kind of a huge spike at this stage. So it is not a stage for reading, writing, math at all, unlike what the regular schools do. But it is a stage of rapid development of the neurons in the brain, and this is the age when a lot of connections happen. So exposing the child to nature, exposing the child to multiple languages and different cultures, and practicing a lot of home. Usually whatever the traditions that are followed at home are of a great help, because the children will really see how adults interrelate with other adults, and they follow a lot of beautiful practices which brings the best of relationships forward, to the forefront when you have these cultural practices. Now, 3 to 5 years. Again, we still continue with the sensitive periods and the absorbent mind. The fields of work are now slowly expanding. So the children, language, 3 or 4 languages, they're ready. They're very ready to receive. Now, the practical life activities are something that they need to do. They need to do things like sweeping, wiping, arranging, folding, buttoning, touching, different sorting, grading. So all these are beautiful activities that are set out. It can be set out even at home for the child to do. The child is, yes, emotional and social development is there, but the home front should also be offering purposeful activities for in all these areas. So sensorial activities. Sensorial, when we mean we have the five senses. We also, have the muscular sense, which the children love to carry things. If you see many children at this age, they love to carry, pour. So they will take a bucket of water and they'll be endlessly engaged with it. So pouring it from one bucket to the other. So it is not meaningless in terms for an adult. It will seem like it is a meaningless activity, and the child is prone to cold. The child should be playing with water, but the child is actually self-constructing. The child is learning so much beyond what it is a sensorial understanding of volume, of weight, and how much long time it takes to fill from one bucket to the other, and if it spills outside, what is to be done. So the grace and courtesy, so many things. So there is a fusion of several subjects when the children are doing practical life activities. Mathematics is something that we all think it's only numbers, but we all should be aware that maths is beyond just the physical 1, 2, 3, 4s. We do mathematics every day. So the point is to also provide the child a number of opportunities for experiencing math in her life. Culture is something, as I said, the traditions and the interesting aspects of your day-to-day living in the home, like putting kolam, or lighting a lamp, plucking and placing flowers with God, dressing in a traditional attire, the several things that make your culture unique. You must be giving those experiences to the child. And the children also look at several things like floating, sinking. That is something which is heavy, light, and something which will be dissolving in water. It is not dissolving. It is just floating. So those are the basic physical sciences that we can provide experiences with. So Montessori classrooms are designed this way. But if children who are not going to a Montessori classroom, these are the several areas where the children are rapidly ready absorbing these facts and trying to knit it and glean a lot of knowledge out of it over time. Right now, it is just basically absorption. So the needs of the children still again is communication. We need to communicate the right language, age appropriate, and communicate our best of intentions with the full knowledge that the children will not understand abstraction, or they are not in the plane of imagination. They will want information that is concrete and that they will be able to understand. So many of them, they don't understand that time is something that the children at this age do not really, even though they will be able to read the clock. By 5 years, some of the children are able to read the clock. But reading a clock is nothing to do with understanding time. So understanding time requires a lot more processing, which takes place only in the next plane of development. So right up to 5 years plus, the children will have a lot of acquisition of, the lot of concrete information from around them, and they will also need to know the boundaries and the, limitations in which they need to operate with. So common terminologies which is used is, they follow the human tendencies. There is sensitive periods. You have absorbent mind, that there is a normalization, there is exercises of practical life. You have development of the gross motor skills, and then you have the 3-period lesson. So these are typically Montessori terminologies, but it's very useful for even general public to know that these are the tendencies, these are the characteristics of children which over time just draws them into a very responsible, conscious, aware, productive adulthood. So what are the tendencies? A tendency is a predisposition to think, act, behave, or proceed in a particular way, irrespective of education, and it's a drive towards survival. It is there till the end of our lives. It was there when we just came into this world. So this is specific for our species. It includes exploration, orientation, order, imagination, manipulation of objects, which is work. You have repetition, precision, which is perfection, control of error leading to perfection, communication. So these are our tendencies. We cannot do without these. So the children are filling their mental capacities, they are filling their intellectual capacities with these tendencies. So wherever you see children so-called misbehaving, you will find that one or more of these tendencies are being stymied or are being blocked. So if there is a blockage, you will find that the children's vital energies are getting into a negative zone, which is what comes in the form of bad behavior or temper tantrums, screaming, anger, crying, and fear, anxieties. All these are some things that we can work if we are conscious that somewhere these tendencies, something is amiss. So each of this is a big theory lecture. I can only touch upon these components of it. Now the sensitive periods are, it's very important that we understand what these are. They have certain spike timings where they have a predisposition or sensitivity to learning a specific skill. So they are engaged in a clear activity with a beginning, middle, and end. They do not drop anything in the middle. So that is their way of learning. During that sensitive period, if they get an exposure to that particular raw material that is going to feed that spike, you will see that this is a kind of a meditative learning that will happen. The activity is irresistible. They return to the activity again and again. They develop an emotional attachment, and when something is emotionally connected, it becomes a part of the long-term memory. It is not like memorizing something and it just enters the short-term memory. You write an exam and then you completely do away with it. We throw away our books. It's not like that. So it becomes a part of their vital system. It becomes a part of their driving force, their energy. So they appear satisfied when the activity is completed. They will be into hours of toiling. Even at 5 years, you will see 3 to 5 years, the children will be concentrating like anything. They will be so focused. So that is a beauty when they are given the right environment and right implements and the right approach to learning. So this is what I said. This is not sacrosanct, but it is in the range of this. You will see that from birth to 6 years, you will see there is a sensitive period for order. What is order? The order in which the environment is kept. No clutter, no disorder, no ugliness, no untidiness. That is something that some of the children will cry incessantly. They won't be able to express their anger or sadness at the way the place where they are is kept. It will be because of this. That's why I said, so their sensitivity to order is a human tendency. So the sensitivity for language, which is communication, so they want it from birth. Right up to 6 years, they are rapidly gathering language. It's very easy to teach children at least 4 or 5 languages, even more below 6 years. But after 6 years, it is a big struggle. So the sensitive period for movement. So the children are learning to balance themselves. They're learning to stand upright, hold things, and move forward. So that is a learning that is happening for them at that age. Refinement of senses, fine motor skills, all their senses, their tactile sense, their stereognostic sense, their sense of smell, olfactory, auditory, gustatory, all those senses are refined at this age, below 5 years. So the sensitive period for weaning is 5 to 6 months. It is not that you need to cut off the mother's feeding completely. You need to start the weaning process, where till then you don't need to give anything else except the mother's milk. But after 5 to 6 months, the children are also likely to look at the world and see how the adults are eating, and they would like to test out all of that. So it is good time to start the weaning process. The children respond beautifully to it, and slowly over time, they themselves will move and get into foods which are giving them a lot more nutrition as they grow older. Sensitive period for arithmetic and numbers is around 4 to 4.5 years, 5.5 years. Then you have the sensitive period for grace and courtesy. Look at that. Role modeling, how you conduct yourself in front of others. Grace and courtesy is care of self, care of others who are along with you, and care of the environment. So that is a beautiful learning that happens at this age, below 6 years. So it is very important for the adults around to model this, because it is very difficult to make the unlearning happen. So if there is something that is not done correctly, the child will absorb that. You remember I told you about the absorbent mind. So the child will absorb the wrong approach without screening it, and the child will want to repeat it. So if there has been a way of uh, addressing another adult in the environment, which is possibly your the spouse or the younger sibling or anything, the child will absorb it. So the grace and courtesy demands that you have a certain culture of respect in the family. That is important. So the absorbent mind is welcomes everything, puts its hope in everything, accepts poverty equally as wealth. As I said, does not have any screening process. It is adopts any religion, the prejudices and habits of its countrymen, incarnating all in itself. This is the child. So said Dr. Matsuri. Unconsciously absorbs from his surroundings till the age of 3 years, and conscious absorbent mind happens after the child is after 3 to 6 years. So the child begins to intentionally direct and focus his attention on experiences that will develop what was created during the first 3 years. So the the imprints that have happened below 3 years, the child will wait, will use those imprints to strengthen further. New imprints are a little tough beyond 3. So below 3 is very crucial. So that's why I'm delving a lot deeper into the age below 3 years. A lot of conscious parenting has to happen, and understanding of the developmental needs of children of below 3 years is very crucial. So this normalization is another beautiful word. When a child is given an environment, as I mentioned, given all the tendencies are taken care of, all the needs are met, the adults are conscious, there is a lot of happiness in the environment. So the children will pick the cues up, and you will see in these children an inordinate amount of peace and harmonious movement, and you will see order in them. You will see them independent, and this particular word is usually used in a Montessori context where she says naughtiness is what people attribute to childhood, but she attributes normalization. She says that given the characteristics of the universal child, so she doesn't distinguish between the child who is below the poverty line or above the poverty line, or a part of Antarctica, or a part of the Arctic Circle, or a part of South Africa, or India or Australia. No, she completely says that this is the characteristic of the human species. It is possible for every child in this world to have a normalized, peaceful uh, countenance and an approach, which is what will trigger the thoughts of higher learning and the aspiration towards the purposeness of our birth. So you will see that there is a lot of self-discipline, there is peacefulness, there is spontaneous acts of kindness. So that is what will mark normalized children, where children are able to. So all of this would be a part of their process, but it is important for us to know that it is. So there are ways to get the children, uh, you know, experience normalization when you are an woke parent, when you are an aware parent, when you do the right things for your children. So just a wee bit on the exercises of practical lives. You have these kind of activities around the home, where the children are given a lot of self-development and self-directed learning possibilities. So gross motor skills, you have jumping, walking, climbing, cooperative games, you have total physical response, you use the body to learn a language. The child expresses using sign language, the child expresses using different parts of the body to learn different things. And then you have the 3-period lesson. So this is again a very Montessori terminology. So there are 3 steps in helping the child gain mastery. So these are the 3 steps. I'm not going much into detail because we need to take questions as well. So preparing the home, it's very important for the home to be prepared for the child to be able to help herself. Help me to do it by myself. So every part of your home must be friendly and welcoming the child. Every part of your home. So that is when the child has access. So every slide I'm showing here, that the child has access to meet her needs, meet her expectations of independence, developing independence. So even at the bathroom, there should be operating something that the child is able to do things herself, rather than all the time asking or whining each time. So this is something that is a great sense of power the child will feel, and that will trigger a lot of positive responses from the children. So kitchen also, there is a very big need for the child to be engaged in kitchen activities. So you can do a lot of work at home. See, because when a child is below 6 years, uh, the point is that we think all the learning happens at school, but actually the learning happens in these kind of activities, because the children are logically sequencing when they do several of these activities, and that is a big forerunner for mastery in mathematics. So sweeping, pouring, dusting, preparing food, all these are big priming up factors towards mathematics, towards geometry, towards geography. So several instances. Your cultural activities are a big trigger for thoughts on history. As we move forward, the children should be helped to make all these activities by themselves with very little help. So there shouldn't be reminders. If reminders are happening, then there is some miscommunication which is going on. So we need to have an idea of how to demonstrate to children how to do these things. So this is as far as children below 6 years. I'd like to field questions as of now before I move to the next next plane of development. If it will be good to have you
Well,
ask me
yes,
questions.
I
So
would request all the viewers of this Facebook Live to post your questions on the chat box so that ma'am can answer to it. And maybe most of the parents might be eager to know many things about ma'am's session and then after it. So, yes. Okay, ma'am, I think you can continue. Maybe I'll let you know once I get something because this is a
yes,
very
that will be
intriguing and
good.
it's a FP Live. Right, please.
Okay, so now as we proceed, we'll be presenting the next plane of development, which is the 6 to 12-year-olds. So the 6 to 12-year-olds are another interesting group of children. That is the age group that I got trained in initially when I did my Montessori training. And you will see that they have so much energy in them and they want to explore the world around them. They want to understand a lot of things that are happening in space, a lot of things that are happening on the times before. As I was saying, this is the age when they are able to abstract information, they are able to go forward in their mind on time, they are able to retract on time. So the working environment must also be enabling that. So is the screen audible, I mean, like visible, Shreyas?
Uh, no, ma'am. Yeah, now it is visible. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what is the task of a child who is at 6 to their 12th year? So that is one plane of development. So that is an elementary child. So the child is starting to construct himself as a member of the society and the culture that he is living in. So, to understand their heritage as human beings and to prepare themselves for their cosmic task, the purpose of their living, the purpose of their arrival on this earth. So, these are big questions, moral questions that the children have in their minds when they are given an idea of what it takes to develop in this stage of their life. So, if we are able to give them such an exposure, these are the questions that they will find answers for or strive to find answers with the help of the work that is happening around them and read up also. So, what happens to these children? These are the physical characteristics, and these are the typical characteristics of the children which we need to be aware of when we offer them uh, the developmental learning environments. We need to know that they won't be sitting idle in one place and just closing their mouth and then just writing down what is written on the board. That is not the age at all. That is not the age for anyone, but these children, especially, they are. Uh, there are a lot of problems that occur when they are made to sit in isolation away from their friends. So they need to work in groups and they have a lot of physical stamina. They have toughness, they have high energy levels are there, they drive a lot of daring adventures which will scare parents sometimes. And they actually, it is very interesting that some of the parents felt a big separation trauma when when the children actually disregarded them. I mean, but it is giving respect to both the parent and the child. I will say that it is nothing to be worried about. This child is actually actively seeking social connections, and separation from the family is a very very important characteristic of this child. The child is actually making social connections, is wondering how his identity fits along with others, how many friends he has, and some of the things that he needs to. As I go forward, I will tell you because he will follow the herd instincts. That's called the gregario. What his friends wants, he wants. What his friends don't like, he will also not like. So they will go with the mob psychology at that time, and it sometimes can be unnerving for the parents. So this is an age of moral development and gratitude. See, I will say this. If we are aware of these characteristics, we will know our role as a parent, not as an intrusive parent, but as a very objective and a very mature parent who will know that this is a passing phase. And if we are able to go into the child's reasoning mind, which is what is the developing intellect, we would be able to appeal to the child's developing intellect and make him feel that what he was doing is not actually the way to go. But instead, we choose to complain or we choose to admonish in a very rude way, shaming. All this won't work. That's when the attachment bonds will start snapping. The child is developing the power of abstraction. So it is a great age for heavy intelligent work to happen. And that is how, we have constructed even our working in the Montessori environments. There's a lot of work going on, and it's called great work. The child will go on for working for like sometimes from several hours to several weeks on the same topic, on the same subject. The child will just get tied on to something and will go to the right up to the depth. The point is to understand that the child is actually constructing the core knowledge which the child is sensitive to and wants to know. So breaking the child's day into 40-minute periods will not help at this stage or ever. That is something. But this particular stage, the great work will never happen, and we will never see the unfolding of the huge, grand potential of this developing human being if we are not able to give the time and space for these children. Developing a sense of responsibility. The children are already now past, the stage of toddlering, and walking in fours, walking in twos now has started. Looking at the size of their development, you will see that they will be able to almost see like a sitting adult. They are in that size, so they will see things are happening around them. They will see things that are happening, including traffic jumps. They will see bribing. They will see corruption. They will also see the beauty of love. They will see anger. So we must understand that the children need to make sense of all of these. So when they are developing a sense of responsibility, the characteristics at this stage must be offered to them. They must be given importance to make decisions. Right from the first stages, they must be allowed a lot of opportunities to make decisions. But that does not mean spoiling the child by bending backwards. As I said, always the discipline, the emotional connect, the limitations must be known, and the parents are the boundary keepers. Definitely, we cannot allow flexible boundaries. We cannot also be too rigid on things which we want the child to do. So this is something that we need to understand. So the full understanding of what obedience means also will come up in a few slides. So the children will go and explore. They will extend. So their development is on a social front. They will look beyond the kinship of the family. They will look at the clan, the country. They will look at the world. They look at the society. So they want to allow sharing of territory. They are very open to sharing of roles. They are watching how responsibilities between men and women are happening inside the home and in the place where they are studying. So they want to use their intelligence and imagination to explore the whole of the universe. So this is exactly where what they want to do, that is to fly. They really want to go where eagles dare. So all these children, if everything goes well, so the unconscious work of the child, as I said, the harmonious and movement, the love of work, peacefulness, everything will be in full view in this age. If all those tenets have been met early for the child, if things went well. So we have these very important tools that we always will exhibit in the classroom as well as at home. Freedom always comes with responsibility. We adopt non-violent communication. We need to work with grace and courtesy, the respect. So all these are modeled in the environment, both at home. So there has to be a seamless transition each time, every day between the home and the classroom. So there shouldn't be any difference. So there are several things that works well for us, but then there are several things that don't work well for us as well. So there are several challenges today we are seeing. I will just go into toxic childhood. There is a lot of lack of nutrition in the land of plenty. This is exactly what children are undergoing now in even in families where that can afford nutritious food. Couch potatoes, uh, with the screen, tied to the screen, the inactive hand, lack of God consciousness, limited language because of media influence, kinship confusion. They don't know where to draw the line. So they go all around, even disrespecting parents and elders because they feel they have a free ride on all these things. So addiction, guilt, indulgence, virtual reality, rules and ruins. So it's a cool thing to be rude and to have a bad attitude. It's a very cool thing. So that's a millennial. If many of you have seen Simon Sinek's talks, you will see what he speaks about millennials today. How much they take for granted and how much ill prepared they are for life. That's because of we cannot blame them. The point is that the parents have allowed this level of indulgence because they have found a problem with being parented in an autocratic way. So it's a whole generational influence. So what you can do a whole lot of things with children. You can do a lot of activities within the home, patiently allowing the child to see and feel and experience responsibility. It cannot be spoken. You are responsible for this. That's not how it is. We have to provide them the start to finish cyclic uh, experience. If cause and effect, the children are much ready because their mind is already going forward in time, going reverse to understand what has happened before. So the past, present and future are already being can be visualized. So it is important for you to communicate with the children how best to uh, perform these roles by showing them step by step demonstration for each of these things patiently, for which you need time. So I have parents who ask me, no, but I'm on a full-time job. I don't think I'll have time to, then you can't expect the child to do any of this. The child growing up with grandparents will be attended to all the time. And he will, with folded hands, expect to be attended to each time. So that is something that we need to be conscious of. Your role as a parent cannot be outsourced. There has to be a clear cut understanding where we are drawing the lines. So now, if we hand over the parenting role to somebody else, there is a definite possibility that the child is manipulating that person as well as you. So, and there is no point in blaming the child at all. So, it is important for us today more than ever before to be conscious and competent, well aware parents. So you can do several things, wipe up, do a lot of work around the homes, write out small lists and budget expenses. So several things that needs to be done. We cannot afford to all the time have machines do everything and insulate the child from the responsibilities that will make him a productive, happy person who is contributing to the household. Many of the times, we have people who tell us our spouses are incapable of anything. But what is the point in blaming? The person has been brought up by someone who has made him made him or her a completely dependent adult. So we have these moral development stages, which is again a big time developmental learning. So the level one is that there is obedience and punishment orientation. The worse is that the worse the punishment, the badder the act. So second is the level in which you have self-interest orientation. What's in it for me? So if I obey now, what is the best that I? So the child is already processing that information. So that is level two. Third level is interpersonal accord and conformity. Okay, I'll get a star or I'll get a favor, so let me do it. I mean, that's slightly different from the level two, because at level three, um, you want a good relationship with the other person. You're just not self-centered, but you want a good attitude with the other person. Level four is like authority and social order maintaining orientation. So you have, if I don't follow, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. So you have a mentality that you need to, the child will develop that mentality. the family will have that level of obedience if it is in that level. So level 5 is you have a social contract orientation. You have the greatest good for the greatest number. So you have, so that needs a little bit of explanation, but I can still just say, I think you will know when I'm mentioning this, that it is for the larger good. So let us not look at only for ourselves. It's for the whole family. Unless you cooperate now, it doesn't work. So you give a slight bit of explanation, and then the child will obey, because the child wants to be happy in the family, and then she wants the other family members happy. But then it does need some nudging. But for level 6, the universal ethical principles are already, uh, absorbed by this child. A child who has had the advantage of this woke parents, the aware, conscious parents who have done the right things. Also, with a lot of emphasis, I will say, on prayer, because many of the times I have seen that parents think that it is not important. Today, you can just lead a very whimsical life. You don't need to pray, but a child needs prayer. A child needs a communion with God. Whether you like it or not, this is something of a moral education and a developmental need for the child to connect with the larger cosmos. We don't provide that bridge, the child feels lost. So that I have seen has been a major threat to a child's self-construction, when the child does not feel safe and secure that there is a larger cosmic force which is protecting everybody. So, what do we want? We want a lifelong relationship with the child. We want a responsible life for this child. We want a gratitude to be embedded in the life of the child. We want a sense of belonging. We want the expansion of love. We want the understanding of the cosmic purpose of the child's birth, our birth. Understanding global citizenship, that they are capable of. Peace is not merely an absence of war. So, this is all about the end of education, which we would like our children to have. But what are we doing en route? It's very important for us to ask. So, love is conceded to man as a gift directed to a certain purpose and for a special reason. And in this, it resembles everything lent to living beings by the cosmic consciousness. It must be treasured, developed, and enlarged to the fullest extent. Thank you. Um, I hope.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am. What a wonderful set of presentations. And the last quote was
Thank you.
very beautiful. Uh, so, yes, we have
Yes.
a few questions for you, okay, after your PPT. So, the first question is, ma'am, do you offer online
Ah,
training?
so online training. I haven't really thought about it, because this is, of course, COVID times. We have to think of newer ways of transferring knowledge. If there is a group that is seeking online training, and for what, it also depends. I'm willing to explore that dimension. I've not thought about it till now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Moving on to the next question. Can you share or summarize the PPT shown at the end for 0 to 5 years?
Yes, sure. I will possibly send it to you, and you could. So whoever wants can get in touch with me. So that is,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So you
that's
can
fine.
actually get in touch with ma'am by contacting us on our social media platforms. So the one more question is regarding obedience. What kind of punishment can be given to a child below 5 years when they disobey, so that they do not repeat the same task? Example, like biting people and kids, hitting or pushing people.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Yes. You want me to repeat the question?
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You want me to repeat the question, or you can view it?
Okay. So yes,
Yes,
it's very important for us to know that children below 5 cannot understand punishment. So consequence itself is something. Yeah, there should be natural consequences, but we must more importantly find why the child is performing such a act of biting or hitting or pushing, because most of the time it is to seek love. Sometimes they take the negative, so they must have got a lot of negative attention. So that is something that we need to be conscious of. If there is negative attention is more, the child will draw attention to the by negative activities. So it is very important for to study why the child. So observing will really help. Observing when this child is doing it, what is the trigger for this child to do it, will help. And I'm available for any offline consultation if there is a need. Definitely, the mother should be willing to understand that time and patience is needed. So,
Yes. So we have another question. If you could pour light on the children of a 10-year-old.
okay, 10-year-old children are, yes, towards the end of the second developmental stage, they are actually looking up to older students and older children um, in terms of hero worship. So they will want to always be with children who are older than them, much older than them. So it's very important for you to have built a great relationship with the child, so that if the child is by any chance going astray because of the influence of older ones, because some of them unknowingly use very adult language. I have come across children who use language above their ages, and it has been very worrisome for parents. So it is very important for people to know that you must befriend your child and be able to have a very objective communication with him. And no shaming works. Shaming and punishment will not work at any age.
True. The next
Please
question is, ma'am, I have aged 10 years and 3 years. How I can teach them the discipline and obedience? Especially my 3-year-old shouts, pushes, or beats his sister.
Okay, so it's very important for us to be aware that talking obedience won't help. So there has to be more observation on why this is happening and how you can strengthen the bond between the siblings. Because the siblings bonding is very important here. How much the older one is able to devote time in a very unconditional, loving way and fulfill the needs of a 3-year-old will be very useful for building that bond and relationship, which has to be enabled by the parent. So it is very important. So
How we
working
work
on it.
who's used to, you're saying something, ma'am, please. Yes.
No, I read the. So I'm able to read the
Okay.
question.
All
So
right.
how
Okay.
can
I
we?
think that's
Yeah.
fine.
So I will work on the. I will tell you about it. So work on a child who's used to screaming and biting older siblings. Yes. So building the sibling relationship is very important, and that can be done by a lot of observation and study of how the older one is calming down and is able to address the needs of the younger one, and spend time with both of them separately and together as well, and try to build a relationship between them, because there is no point in either punishing the older one or not making the younger one understand. So, and no punishment works. So it is very important that biting and screaming are all negatively channelized energies. So these energies needs to be brought to equilibrium by providing the child the right kind of work.
Yes.
Sure. I think Shreyas will provide my mail ID.
Could you just repeat your mail ID, ma'am, so I can type it for everyone out here? Yes, you can spell it out.
CAS, Cascade, CAS,
C
CADE,
CADE.
Cascade, CAS,
Yes.
CADE,
Okay.
FLS
FLS. Okay.
at gmail.com.
Okay. At gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay. I'm
That's easy
repeating
to
it.
remember.
It is
Yes.
cascade FLS at gmail.com. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Okay, I think you can reach out to ma'am and send her mails if you have any queries and everything. So, can we have more
Sure.
questions or anything else? Okay. So I think any questions you can you post it on ma'am's email ID, or you can reach on Instagram or Facebook for Elixir Foundation or Bodhen.project. So yes, I'm here to present the vote of thanks. Before moving on to the vote of thanks, I would like to share. Okay, we have a question. Okay, all right. Very useful session, ma'am. Great eye opener. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
Okay.
so much. I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes. So some key learnings. We all know that a child is being born in a family, and then there is a age where it is being brought up. He or she is being brought up, and then there is a time where he or she has to step out to face the world. And it decide. And the most important thing is choosing the right or wrong path is in the hands of the child. I believe. Today all the parents and anyone irrespective whoever it is being present here are being benefited by this session, and it is very very effective for all of you. And moreover, Mohammed covered all holistic developments, which is very very important for a young child, because when they grow up they teach the children the same, and they're being brought up in the same environment. So thank you so much, ma'am, and also thanks to Madi sir from Elixir Foundation for huge backbone support for all the technical and also the media. And I would like to also thank our partner, Mr. Rohit Vakrala from the Council for Transforming for India, for being a part of this wonderful initiative and their members, and also ma'am's organization, Relief Foundation, and their members. I think this was a very eye-opening session, as someone said, and it would really benefit for everyone in the long run. So yes, thank you so much, and hope you all have a great Sunday and a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.